I want to talk to you now about a feature that was implemented when Vista first came out. When Windows Vista first came out, there was a feature called the UAC, User Account Control, that came out. It actually caused a lot of problems for Vista. It caused a lot of issues with running applications in Vista. And I think some of the problems that came out with Vista was related to that and kind of gave Vista a bad name. It wasn't the only reason Vista kind of got a bad name when it first came out, but it was one of the reasons. Now, the good news is they've improved this over the years and have definitely made this more easier to use for us and control. It's a feature called the UAC, User Account Control, and this is a feature that allows us to better control security for our users. See, unfortunately, if you think about it like this, users can sometimes be given too many privileges, especially users that own their own computer. Okay, think about somebody at home. They purchase a computer, they've got Windows 10, they're automatically an admin on their computer, and sometimes that's a dangerous thing. One of the problems we had with Windows XP was that if you were an admin on the machine, and let's say you went to a website and you got a virus or something on your computer, that virus immediately had admin rights. It could do anything it wants. As I like to say, it had intergalactic cosmic powers over your computer if it had admin rights. So that was a dangerous thing. So what Microsoft would always tell people to do in years past is, if you were an admin, you should have two user accounts. You should have one user account that is just a regular user that does not have admin rights, and then you should have a user account that does have admin rights, okay? And you should use your regular user account when you don't need admin rights, and then use your admin account when you do. So you should mostly be using your regular user account. The problem is, people didn't want to do that. Everybody just wanted to be an admin all the time. And so if they got malware on their computer, it was a very dangerous thing. It was a problem, okay? So Microsoft created this thing called the UAC, okay? User Account Control. Now what the UAC does is it treats you like a regular user. Even if you're an admin, it treats you like a regular user. And if you needed to do something that required admin privileges, then the UAC would then be able to escalate you up to administrative privileges, okay, if need be. So, for example, if I wanted to, if I was to type CMD to go to command prompt, and I wanted to run command prompt as an administrator, I can right-click and I can say Run as Administrator, and I want you to notice that this UAC window pops up. It says User Account Control, and at this point I could escalate myself up to an admin by clicking yes, okay? Keep in mind, if I was not an admin, so I'm logged on as an admin, but if I was not an admin, then it would prompt me for a username and password of an admin. So if you're a regular user and you do this, you're going to get prompted for a username and password. If you are already an admin, then you're just going to get prompted to say yes or no. So if I click yes, it's going to open up the administrative console or administrative command prompt for me, and I'm now doing it as an admin. Now, I also want to point out that this screen, here's what's really interesting about it. This is one of the great things they did, is they made it where this screen cannot be bypassed by any type of software. So if a software, like let's say you got a virus on your computer and the virus triggered trying to get admin rights, it triggered this to pop up trying to get admin rights, it would still require a human being to either click yes, tap yes on their screen, or hit yes on their keyboard. So mouse, keyboard, touchscreen, it would require a human being to do that. Okay, somebody's got to hit this right here. You cannot bypass this screen with a piece of software. If it gets triggered, somebody's got to click it. Now, we all know that there are users out there in the world that are just going to click yes and okay to everything that pops up on the screen. The good news is trusted applications that show up, that pop this up, will get a blue ribbon like this. They call this the blue ribbon, okay? And then if a piece of malware did this, it would actually be yellow, and it would be a warning message. It would try to tell you, look, listen, this is not a trusted application. Are you sure you want to run it? Okay, so at least there's that much. At least it does try to warn the person. Any program that's trusted, that's been digitally signed, as they say, will pop this up, and it'll be a blue ribbon, and you can usually trust that it's okay. But if it's yellow, it'll usually say unknown, and it's going to warn you that this could be malware. This is going to prevent a lot of people from making that mistake. There's still going to be people out there that are going to say yes to it anyway. Believe me, I've cleaned plenty of viruses off people's computers, and I can tell you that people do it all the time. But it's at least another sort of checkpoint to make sure, hey, are you sure you want to do this? Okay, so the person would have to click yes. So now in a business environment, if this got triggered, you would have your regular users, and hopefully your regular users aren't admins, so they wouldn't be able to get past this screen anyway. They wouldn't have admin rights. So the malware, the virus wouldn't do as much damage to them. Okay, now where is this controlled? Let me show you where this is controlled. So I'm going to go to Control Panel, type the word Control, open up Control Panel here. All right, and then once I get Control Panel up here, I'm going to switch it to Large Icons, and I'm going to go to this icon called User Accounts. So we're going to open that up. Once we get there, there is a option here that says Change User Account Control Settings. So notice the little yellow-blue shield. That little shield indicates that this is going to trigger UAC. Okay, so I'm going to go there, and it just involves anytime you see that yellow-blue shield, it means the UAC is being enabled. All right. So notice I've got this little slider bar here. Now if I just want to turn this off, I can just slide that all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so I can slide it all the way down to the bottom. It says apps try to install software or make changes to your computer, or it says I make changes to computers. If I turn that off, it says never notify me. So this is just disabling it. If I move it up one, it says notify me only when apps try to make changes to my computer. It says do not dim my desktop. This dim your desktop feature is a security feature called the Secure Desktop. And what it does is if there was any recording software or anything like that in the background, it would black the screen so that if you were having to type your password in, it would not be able to show that password being typed in. But in this case, it's not going to dim your desktop, and it says notify me only when apps try to change my computer. So it's not going to notify you if you trigger something. If a virus tried to trigger itself, then it would notify you. But if you triggered a virus, it wouldn't notify you. So as you can see, that's not quite as secure either. It's better than off, though. If we move the slider bar up here, which is the default, it says notify me only when apps try to change my computer. Default, don't notify me when I make changes to my computer. Same thing here as this one, but at least you'll get the dim desktop feature. Now, if you really want to lock things down, you're going to want to move this up to the top. It says always notify me. So that'll notify me if I'm trying to do something. It's going to pop up on my screen and ask me if I'm sure I want to do it, or if something in the background triggers and tries to do it. It's always going to notify you, and it's always going to give you that dim desktop feature. Okay. Now, there's also some local policies that can manage this. Okay, so we looked at group policies earlier. I can use group policies to manage the UAC settings on a computer. I can come down here and I can type group policy, just like I showed you earlier. Open that up, and your local policies for dealing with the UAC is going to be located under computer configuration, Windows settings. Okay, and then it's going to be security settings, and then local policies, and you'll see security options, and the UAC policies are down here at the bottom. And so I can control those UAC policies if I want. Right here I can have things enabled, disabled related to the UAC. If I did not want, if I wanted to make, for example, if I wanted to make admins have to put in their password every time UAC pops up, I could do that. Okay, right now if you look, you've got, it says user account control behavior of elevation prompt for administrators in admin approval mode. So administrators are just prompted for consent, but I could change that to prompt for credentials if I wanted to. Okay, keep in mind though, since this is local policies, this would only apply to this one computer. If I wanted to apply this to a large amount of computers, I would have to do that through the GPO method, which is done over on a domain controller. Okay, all right. So hopefully that helps you understand the concept of UAC. It's a pretty great security feature. It did have a lot of problems when it first came out with Vista, but again, they've improved it a lot. They've given us a lot more control over it. And all in all, I think it's a really good feature.